Hello everyone. 2022, a new year and my new book. My first book of 2022. And what is this one about? The title is Above Our Heads, Predators or Protectors. Extraterrestrial cultures. The first point I want to make is that there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed. That's the first point I want to make. The second point is that we are living now in days of what we call the Great Apocalypse. Apocalypse, not in the meaning we're taking it as the end of the world or doom and gloom. No, that's not the meaning of apocalypse. The real meaning is great revelations. And we are certainly living in times of great revelations now. And there are a lot more shocking ones to come, and that's all good, that's all great, because the more shocking they are, the more people are waking up. We need a lot more awakening going on. Now, the third point I want to make is that we at this current point in time as humanity are going through the greatest shift in human consciousness, in human awareness, ever in the history of humanity. And that is, we are moving from this third dimension level energy into the fourth dimension, into the higher dimension energy levels. And part of that shift, or a great part of that shift, in fact, entails and incorporates us moving from a planetary awareness into an interplanetary and an intergalactic awareness. And what does that mean? That means that it is time for us to stop thinking of planet Earth as being the centre of the universe. To stop thinking in soul planetary, S-O-L-E, soul planetary awareness. And move into an awareness that there are other cultures out there, there are other worlds, there are other technologies, there are other civilizations besides us here on planet Earth. We are interplanetary, intergalactic beings, having a temporary sojourn here on planet Earth. So part of this present shift is moving to an interplanetary awareness from our simple planetary awareness. We can no longer deny it. We can no longer scoff at people who have claimed to have been abducted and people who claim to have seen UFOs and seen extraterrestrial bodies, alive or dead. Now, this book is all about evidence. You've got to make up your own mind. The evidence is here from those who have seen and those who have been abducted. Evidence coming from whistleblowers, from top Navy and military brass, from astronauts, from politicians, and of course from ordinary members of the public. People who were afraid to speak out before now because they would be put in a mental institution. They were mad, they were crazy. But times are changing. And if you're watching the history channels on television at night, the history, the Discovery, the Blaze channels, it's all coming out about extraterrestrials. It's all there, the evidence is there. We can no longer deny it. Now, even the term aliens, I've got a problem with that. Aliens to me is a derogatory term, quite an offensive term. It suggests something unfriendly or something in the aggressive area. We are not alone, and we have never been alone. And we are all one. So when we touch their essence, we touch our own. Now, this book is all about what do they want? And there are numerous cultures out there, and they all have their own agenda. So numerous cultures, numerous extraterrestrial races, numerous agendas. And people often ask, well, why have we not been exterminated? If they're that angry with us, why are they not exterminating us? The truth is, if they wanted to exterminate us, we would have been a long time ago into oblivion, a long time ago. But we're still here. And the answer to that is, you do not kill the goose that lays the golden egg. They are after our natural earth resources, and they're after us as well. experiments, genetics, to prolong their own civilization. What are they like? This book explains. And they operate in a kind of a hive mentality. That means they operate in accordance with instructions or being programmed from a central area. Some of them are synthetic, some of them are robot-like, and some are like us. Same way there are so many different races here on Earth, there are so many different races out there. And there are positive ones and there are negative ones. And they have advanced technology, much more advanced than us. But having advanced technology does not automatically mean they're advanced spiritually. Many of them are light years ahead of us in civilization, but many of them are not as advanced as us. And the skeptics ask, well, why have they not made contact with our world governors, with our world leaders? The answer to that one is they have. Eisenhower, President Eisenhower in the 1950s, they agreed out a treaty. Hitler was in league with them. Why the secrecy? It's all in here. Now, let me go back into history for a moment. We have always been taught that the Germans were defeated after World War II. Yes, they may have lost the battle, but the Germans were not defeated. We have Operation Paperclip, called Paperclip because it's paperclip that held the file together. Operation Paperclip after World War II, where the spoils of war, the Nazi top brass, the Nazi top scientists, the Nazi top medical men, the Nazi top rocket engineers were all imported into America and given jobs, put to work in the American space program for one purpose, to get the Americans on the moon before the Russians. And one man was called Wernher von Braun. Now, if you watch any of the documentaries showing the control room when the Americans got on the moon, who's sitting up in the front row? Only Wernher von Braun. Chief Nazi criminal, if you like. Chief Nazi rocket engineer. Imported into America for one purpose. He was the one who ran a lot of the underground labour camps during the Nazi reign, when people were in sweated industries manufacturing arms for Germany. Now, it was these Operation Paperclip men, with von Braun amongst them, who infiltrated NASA, M12, Majestic 12, the banking institutions, the shadow government, and the military-industrial complex. And they infiltrated EU. These are the shadow government men, the Nazi ones who were imported into America. What happened to Hitler? Hitler didn't die in that bunker. There's no evidence. His body was never found. Even Stalin confirmed that after World War II. Hitler escaped with a lot of his buddies down to Antarctica. And why Antarctica? Because it's well known that Hitler was in league with the dark forces of the occult, the dark reptilian forces. And Antarctica was where they had their base. And we know that because Operation High Jump was a military fleet, a number of warships sent out from America down to Antarctica to intercept the German boats going down there with all sorts of equipment. Okay? When they got there, that was under Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd commanded that fleet. It was a war fleet. They were told they were going to investigate, but you don't send a war fleet out to investigate. When they got near Antarctica, these huge big UFOs out of the water and attacked them. And they had to return home because a lot of their fleet were destroyed. That's Operation High Jump. So Hitler was on his way to Antarctica. That's all in this book. Now, go back to Wernher von Braun there for the last point I'm going to make. Wernher von Braun died in 1997, and on his deathbed, he issued a final warning to humanity. He talked about four cards that were being played against humanity. Number one was the Cold War. A false card being played whereby the whole world was frightened into a belief that communism was going to take over, fear against communism, in order to justify a build-up of weapons, defence weapons. This is what it's all about. Military industrial complex, justifying the government spending on military equipment and on military defence weapons. So the Cold War was the first false flag. The second one was he warned about a terrorist card being played. 9/11. Scaring everybody into the fear of terrorism and justifying more build-up of defence weapons. The third one he warned against was asteroids. And that is certainly one that's been played now. Every day you hear about another spacecraft out of control is coming towards Earth, going to crash. Asteroids are going to crash into us. Again, justifying spending for building up defence weapons to keep these things from us. Frightening people. And the last card, he said, the final card will be the alien card. Possibly a fake alien invasion. To scare people. Again, to justify build-up of weapons in the last frontier, which is space. Justification for all the mass amounts of money being spent on weaponising space to defend us against these aliens who are going to come and attack us. We've seen it all in the movies. All the movies, the sci-fi movies, all depicting these aliens as, coming to attack us. We need to defend ourselves against them. And this is what's happening. All justifying a mass build-up of weaponry to defend us against these false enemies that they have conjured up. All about fear. So, let's go back there. There are 3 stages in which truth goes through. First one is it goes through ridicule. Ridicule. Everybody laughs, scoffs. That's ridiculous. Not even worth thinking about. Ha ha ha. Good for a joke. The second one is it faces opposition. And the third one is it's accepted as evident. Now, which one of those are we at the moment with regard to extraterrestrials? I think we're at the end of the first one. The stages of ridicule, the first stage of ridicule. It is as ugly to scoff at people who have been abducted and who still bear the scars. It's as ugly to scoff at them as it is to scoff at rape victims or victims of war torture or concentration camps. These people have been subjected to invasive medical procedures. They have suffered. They're all telling the same thing. They have been made to forget everything. Amnesia. When they come back, when they are returned. And they have all talked about being implanted with some sort of a chip, some sort of a tracking device. And they all talk about, many talk about a smell like old cardboard, a smell, a fusty smell. And many of them talk about being in a triangle, a pyramid inscribed on them. Now, they're all talking about the same thing. These people can't all be wrong. They can't all be making this up. It is time for us to accept what they're telling us. And I think that we're at the end of the first stage where they're being scoffed at. I think we're in the middle stage where opposition is still going on. People ask, well, why weren't we told all this before? We weren't told it before because people were afraid to talk about it. They'd be put up in a mental home. But now things are different. People are coming out, people are writing the books, people are reporting it. So I think that we are going to be, in 2022, we are very near some sort of disclosure, if not full disclosure. Because the governments can no longer deny and cover up what has been going on for so long. They have been secretly negotiating with these extraterrestrial beings, but it's all been kept under wraps, kept under secret. So that's what this book is all about. I hope you enjoy it. And until we meet again, namaste.